As a coordinator of today's webinar, I, P.L. Subramaniam, would like to give a brief introduction on today's topic, soft skills. Soft skills, the word nowadays has become more popular than ever before. As we all know that it has become a part of communication skill. It is not enough if one possesses knowledge, but to communicate effectively and efficiently with others is the need of the hour. And the one who possesses such skill is both to compete in the present competitive world. Strong soft skills ensure a productive, collaborative, and healthy work environment. Soft, soft skills are more challenging to develop since they have little to do with knowledge or experience, but are closely linked with person's character. It is to take conscious effort, ongoing practice, and commitment to self-development to improve your soft skills. In this connection, our webinar aims to throw light on some of these techniques on how to develop your soft skills and become successful in your areas of profession. So, now we are blessed to have two eminent personalities, Professor Dr. Meenakshi F. Pal from Simla, Himachal Pradesh, and Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis from Dhule, Maharashtra, as the resource person of today's webinar.
You just have
With pleasure,
switch on
I
the
welcome
video.
Dr. Meenakshi F. Pal and Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis to this webinar, which comprise 3,028 number of participants from all over India. Prior to that, I invite the convener of today's webinar, the principal, Dr. Nityanand Patnaik, to give the opening remarks. Thank you, sir.
Good morning to everybody. I am Nityananda Patnaik, working as principal, Government Degree College, Chapuram, Srikakulam District, Andhra Pradesh. The college is a government degree college established in the year 1983 to cater to the needs of undergraduates of Ichapuram town. Previously, our college was affiliated to Andhra University, Visakhapatnam till 2010 and 11, and from the year 2010 and 11, it has been affiliated to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University, Echarla, Srikakulam, Andhra Pradesh. The college has got the status of 2F and 12B UGC, and it has also been accredited by NAC with C grade in the year 2015. Today, I feel much privileged that we are going to organize a national seminar on soft skills with the able guidance and supervision of Dr. Vaibhav sir, a beloved friend of mine and well-wisher. He is working at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Law College, Dhule, Maharashtra. Today, you are all aware that soft skills are very necessary for sharing our thoughts and ideas with people. So, Vaibhav sir has encouraged me to conduct a webinar on soft skills. So, even though we are in a backward area, with the support and guidance of our Vaibhav sir, we are conducting this webinar. So, whenever we contacted with Meenakshi madam, she has expressed her consent to play a key role in the webinar, and Dr. Praveen Mahala, organizing secretary, came forward to extend his cooperation, and we are very thankful to Pullala Subramaniam of Nidadavalu Government Degree College to extend his technical support, and we also very grateful to our commissioner sir, Sri M.M. Nayak, for encouraging us to conduct webinars. In the same way, we express our thanks to our RJD sir, Dr. R. David Kumar sir, and AO of RJDC office, and our beloved principals, ID principals, M. Babura garu and K. Sriramulu garu, and our beloved friends, Dr. Rabin Padi and Susanta Janna, K. Surya Chandra Rao, and our staff, P. Ramakrishna, and S. Nageswarrao, P. Santosh Kumar, Snehalata Madam, Achyutrao, S. Venkataparao, Ganapatrao, and all other staff members. So we are very grateful to all of them, and our family members also feel very happy that as a principal, I am going to conduct a webinar in our college. So I thank each and every person in this regard. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite Praveen Male sir to start the webinar with small formalities.
शत्रुबुद्धि विनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपज्योतिर्
Subbu sir, unmute yourself first.
Subramaniam sir, unmute yourself.
Now you
Okay.
speak.
I now request the organizing secretary, Dr. Praveen Male, to introduce the first resource person, Professor Dr. Meenakshi F. Paul, to the participants. Welcome, sir.
Male sir, please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Good morning, one and all. Myself, Dr. Praveen Male. I am so excited to be here today, and I have the opportunity to introduce today's eminent personality, our speaker, Professor Dr. Meenakshi F. Paul. Dr. Meenakshi F. Paul, working as a professor of English and principal at the Himachal Pradesh University, Department of Evening Studies. She has a translator and poet, and her research interests were women and gender, translation, Dalit studies, and cultural studies. Professor Paul is a gold medalist in a MA and MPhil from Himachal Pradesh University and received the UGC Research Fellowship for her doctoral study. Aside from his talent and advocacies, Professor Paul is also prestigious author of a number of papers on the subject English. She has published 10 books and several articles in national, international journals and newspapers. She was formerly an IU associate at the Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla, and Director Center for Canadian Studies of Himachal Pradesh University. On the final note, she is also fascinating individual, and we were grateful for his presence among us today. Without further ado, please join me welcoming Dr. Meenakshi F. Paul. Thank you. Now I share with Dr. Subramaniam sir. Subramaniam sir.
I am requesting Dr. Meenakshi F. Paul ma'am to speak.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And I must apologize right away for holding you for about 10 minutes, I think. I'm very sorry, but I need to blame my electricity department. We are having torrential rains here, and some of the poles are down. So the department is fixing it up, and we have a power outage today in Simla. First of all, I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart, Dr. Nityanand Patnaik. Thank you, sir, very much for your invitation. And Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis, who of course was the moving spirit, I think, behind this webinar. I also want to thank Dr. Subramaniam, Dr. Male, all the staff and students of the Government Degree College, Ichapuram. My greetings from the foothills of the Himalayas. It's a Sunday morning, and I'm very pleasantly surprised to see that there are so many people who have joined in for the webinar. Rather than a webinar, I think this is for us a time to sit and converse and talk to each other about how we have been dealing with soft skills, why they are important, and what are the top soft skills that we must have as teachers, as students who are preparing now to enter the world of employment and business and entrepreneurship. Soft skills is something that will distinguish one candidate from another, as we will see in the course of the talk today. So I request Dr. Vaibhav to please share the screen for me, because I am unable to do that since I'm now online with my phone. So can I request you, Dr. Sabnis, please, to share my PPT? Is that possible? I am waiting for Dr. Sabnis. Can
Yes,
you hear
madam.
me? Yes, could you please share the PPT? It's with you.
Yes, sure.
Yes.
Hello. Ha.
So if it is on screen, then I will continue.
Yes, madam.
Just need to let me know that it's on screen.
You need to share your screen, otherwise I'll share my
No,
screen.
you need to share. You will have to share.
Okay, I'll.
Yes. Yes, thank you. So while Dr. Sabnis is setting up the screen for us, I think soft skills are very important for your self-career management. So each one of us who is in the field, we need to not just mindlessly go through our employment opportunities, but we need to actually assess for ourselves what are our skills that we have and what skills do we need to hone as we progress. Because please remember that there are certain soft skills which are important all through our career, and there are certain skills which we require to add on as we continue further in our career. So at every step of our career, whether we are students or we are working, we need to do some self-assessment, a kind of a checklist. Which are the skills that we have? Which are the skills that we now need to add for our further development? And that development will be not only for the career, but it is also important for our own selves, as well as for our interpersonal relationships. And a person who has soft skills, the word soft itself, gives us this whole idea of gentleness, of amiability, of friendship, of love. And who wouldn't like to interact with a person who gives us this kind of a feeling of being accepted, or a feeling of being respected? And all these things we will be able to generate using our soft skills. So when I say self-assess yourself on your soft skills, I also mean that we do a reality check, because all of us think that we have soft skills. All of us think that we are very nice people, we are easy to work with, and we are good colleagues and friends or family members. But we do need to cross-check. We need a reality check. And once we have done that, very honestly, then we need to set our goals onto which skills we need to hone or develop or even add or have. And that will be our action plan. So before we go further, we will take the next screen, Dr. Weber. Thank you. Let us look at what kind of skills we have divided ourselves into. One is hard skills and one is soft skills. So when we look at hard skills, we are looking at our degrees, we are looking at the knowledge that we have, we are looking at the specializations which we might have, how many trainings we've been through, etc. And let's just generally say that hard skills are skills which are necessary for a particular job or work. And without them, you will not be able to even write your resume or write your CV. So you will need to have those qualifications. Let us say if you're a teacher, then you need to have a postgraduate degree or a research degree, and you would need to have a net, etc. Now, all those are hard skills. How you use your degree to bring about some important in your work, that would be your hard skills. Let us further go to soft skills. Next slide, please. And so we have soft skills. Now, this term has come to us from sociology, but more and more psychology is using it, literature is using it, humanities, commerce, science even. Everybody's using the term soft skills, so it's very interdisciplinary, or sorry, cross-disciplinary in nature. So what are these soft skills? These soft skills are about our emotional quotient, and that word comes to us from Daniel Goleman, and he divides them into 5 categories, which is self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and interpersonal skills, or what we call social skills. So soft skills are your personality traits, also how you behave in society, and also how you communicate with other people. And this is extremely important for us because this is what we are going to deal with. So your social graces are important, and these are very desirable qualities. In fact, nowadays, people are also putting soft skills in the category of essential qualities. And soft skills are your USP because everybody is a degree holder. Everybody has the relevant qualifications. So what distinguishes you from another candidate or another person would be the level of your soft skills. Now we can move to the next slide. And we see that the division of soft skills is made on the basis of which skills are self-oriented, how you are willing to learn, how you're willing to develop, how you are willing to understand things, that is self-oriented, and other-oriented, which is in relation to others, how respectful you are, how courteous you are, how considerate you are, how you can work in a team, how you can be a leader. It's something I think Dr. Weber is going to talk to us about, but all those are other-oriented or interpersonal skills. And so when we look at personal skills and social skills, these are very, very important aspects of soft skills. And let's take the next slide and try to get a clearer vision. Now, some of the common soft skills, as we can see, are all these: leadership, problem solving, and critical thinking, teamwork, creativity, time management, etc. So when we are dealing with so many soft skills, and there are endless number of soft skills, they begin with the minimum 8 and they go on to 80 plus. So when we look at all these, it's not possible for us all to have all the soft skills, and therefore I say we need to make a list of what are the important soft skills which we must possess. So let us take the next slide with the help of Dr. Weber and see that there are soft skills are difficult to measure and they are difficult to define. Whereas hard skills are easy. You have a PhD, you have an MA with a first division, and it's very specific. You have done your degree in American Studies or Indian English Studies or whatever. Dr. Weber, please, we'll take the next slide. Soft skills, however, are very general, and there is a curious mix of soft skills in all people, and they all differ from one to the other. And so we will, let's see how to deal with this whole thing. Now, why they are crucial is given in the next slide. Dr. Weber, please. Soft skills as employment qualities are general attributes, and these are not specific to a job, like a science degree for a scientist or an MBBS degree for a doctor. But soft skills are necessary in all jobs, and these are not specific, but these are crucial. And as I was reading on soft skills, I have come across so many case studies which have measured how soft skills make a difference on your employment. And we have found that 77 to 94% employers, future partners, collaborators, they all give that much importance to soft skills. So you can see how important they are. Now, soft skills and hard skills cannot be always treated as separate entities from each other. They are rather complementary, and we need to work on both of them together, as we will see in this particular slide. If you can see, this is a very eminent researcher, Greasy, on soft skills. And Greasy says that we need soft skills with hard skills to develop and keep up to date in changing circumstances. So change is very fast in the 21st century. Change comes without us really being prepared for the change. Let us, for example, take the corona pandemic, which happened to us. None of us were prepared for it. And it hit us, like a ton of bricks. And we had to go struggling to find our feet and to see how now to deal with this. And of course, one of the ways with which we dealt with it was by going online with our students and with our colleagues, as we are doing today. So what did we do? We needed the hard skills to be able to connect online. We needed to know how to operate an app, let's say like Zoom. We needed to fix our microphones, etc. But we also needed soft skills in being adaptable, in being flexible, in changing with the changing situation. We also needed to be calm. We needed to be positive, especially for our students. We needed to encourage them while we ourselves were struggling to find our own feet. And all these things that we did were good examples of soft skills. They were good examples of how, because we are already working with a certain set of soft skills, we were able to manage with this pandemic. Not only manage, I think, we did pretty well. So much so that students are very comfortable now, even being online. And, many students didn't have their books at home. Many students do not even have access to network. So teachers found a way of chatting with them on WhatsApp, or they tried to call them, and how to share video files, sound files, PDFs, messages. There were so many different ways in which we were able to connect with our students, and that's excellent. And all of us teachers should congratulate each other for having come out, on the right side up, dealing with this pandemic. So that's a good example of how soft skills and hard skills work together. All right, Dr. Sabnis, may I ask you to change the slide, please? Yes, this is from our favorite George Bernard Shaw, and he's very dramatic also in his quotations. And here he is saying that the single biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it has taken place. Now, why does he say that? Because communication does not happen. It is done. And that's a very important difference. It's not that you have said something, somebody else has heard you, and communication has taken place. It doesn't work like that. You have to work very hard for genuine communication to take place. And as we know, there is a process to communication, and that's in the next slide. And What does that say? Communication takes place. Why? Because we want to make known or exchange some information. And the basic process of that is that you have a sender who will encode a message, either write it or speak it or make graphs and charts or send an email or a song or whatever, but a certain encoding of the message will be done. And then a suitable channel will be found for that message to go across. So you could have, and you would need an appropriate language for that appropriate channel. So once you have found that, and in that you need to also be aware of your audience, you need to be aware of the form of the message that you are sending, and only then will you choose that particular channel. For example, you can send an email to a colleague, like luckily I sent my PPT to Dr. Weber in the morning. I had not anticipated a power break, but it did happen. So, preparedness is also a good soft skill to have. So luckily, Dr. Weber is able to show the PPT for me, and I'm very grateful to him. Thank you, sir. And so you send an email, or you have a face-to-face talk, because this is something which needs to be done in intimacy, in close quarters, where emotions matter, where somebody's mental condition matters, or where you need to be in touch with the other person at very close quarters, then you will do a face-to-face. Sometimes you might do a big rally. The message could be given through a big rally like our leaders often do. And I think today we have an online rally going on, which is great. And then somebody will receive that message. Yes. Now, the sender has encoded the message. The recipient is going to decode the message. Now, this decoding the message is very important, because you will decode on the basis of your experience, on the basis of the context of the message, and you will also factor in your relationship with the sender and your own psychological state, as well as the psychological state of the sender, also the time and the place in which you have received that message. And all these things are factored in while you are decoding the message in order to understand it. And then the most important part, of course, is that you must try to understand or decode the message in a way which removes the barriers to communication. And we will come to the barriers later. But there is great danger of some misunderstanding of the message that can happen here. And then we come to, if a misunderstanding takes place, then what will happen? And we will come to that. What can happen is a communication fail. A communication fail. So a successful communication is you convey your ideas, and those ideas and your feelings are received very close to how you had intended them to feel. And so once that happens, we can say that we have made a successful communication. Let's take the next slide. We already know the categories of communication are verbal, non-verbal, written, visuals, and also interpersonal. Now here, how does a communication success take place? So what we say matters, but how we say matters more, or at least as much, because how we say it will affect a great deal how it is received by the person who is receiving it. And so how is where the soft skills are needed. What? Hard skills and soft skills both are needed. And the environment will also make a great difference. You know, if somebody is very angry, you cannot really hope to have a successful communication. And you go on saying, be calm, quiet, don't do it. It's not going to really work. So when we communicate, there is also a category of communication which I should have put there, which is silence. We also need to practice silence. We also need to practice the pause. We also need to give time to the other person, whether receiver or sender, because we need to be aware of the other person's emotions as well as our own emotions. So we need to check our emotions And also, we need to receive the encoded message with a great deal of openness. We need to be open to the message. We need to, receive it and at least try to understand it, and not be ready to either reply or respond or cut or refuse the message. And because if you do that, then there is a breakdown of communication. Now, the communication channels, of course, letters are out, WhatsApp is in, and other Twitter and what have you. We need to here be very cautious, and we need to practice the pause here more than anywhere else. We need to be very, very careful about hitting the send button. We need to read before we send. We need to maybe give it a time, say 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes at least, or maybe a day, depending on the message, before we press that send. And that is why it is good to save that message, unless it's something very immediate. Somebody needs blood and you're trying to arrange blood for a patient in the hospital. Then it's very urgent. Then it's all right. But if there is some conversation happening or a debate happening, then we need to be more cautious of the pause. All right. So written communication in these situations will be better because it gives people time to reread it, to assimilate it, to think about it, and not give a very emotional response immediately. So let us also, pay attention to the language that we use. The language should not be hurtful, of course, we all know that. But to avoid jargon, to avoid words which cannot be understood. And this is something we teachers are very guilty of, because we use words which our students may not be very familiar with. And then if we do not explain those words to them, then we have lost the communication just there, because then they are empty words. And so let us go further, take the next slide. And this is just some humor for us to look at. Dr. Weber, if you would show us the next slide. And this is a very common slide. Everybody knows this one. We use it when we are doing punctuations, but I thought this was great for communication also. So shall we eat, Grandma? Or shall we eat? And let Grandma also come and eat. Now, there is only a comma which is differentiating it, but I would like to make you aware of the pause here. So let's eat, Grandma. So I hope not. Nobody's eating their grandma, I hope. Or let's invite Grandma to eat with us. And that's a soft skill too, my dears. You have an elder person in the home and you're respectful to her, and that elderly person is in the inner circle of the family, and she's not separated from the rest of the family. People are around her, people want her, etc., etc. This is how we treat our elderly. That's a soft skill too, to be considerate and loving and accepting. So I think this is great. We must be mindful of the idea that misunderstanding is possible at every stage of communication. And I'm going to give you an example from my own life. 2 days ago, and it's ironical that I'm giving a talk on communication skills when I had an epic fail just 2 days ago, which was I sent an email to a colleague and I said, and I had enclosed certain files, and I wanted that person to process it further with the authorities or with the concerned people. And so I wrote a very quick WhatsApp message and I said, I have sent you an email, please check. And that's all. And I got a response saying, but ma'am, why do you want me to check your work? Because you're competent enough to check your own work. And I was like, but that's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to process the files and send them on to the person concerned. And then I checked my own WhatsApp message. And sure enough, there was an epic communication failure because I had said, I have sent you an email with the files, please check. It could mean, of course, that please check whether the files are properly made or not. Whereas I had intended to mean that please check your email. So my epic fail was that I did not complete that sentence. And instead of writing, please check your email, I had written only, please check. So these are things which happen. And of course, I had done that in a hurry and I had not practiced the pause. So my advice from my experience would be that we do pause and we do read again, especially written messages that we are sending. Let's carry on to the very next file, and somebody will need to remind me of the time as well. Effective communication, we already know all this. All of us are familiar with these categories. Listening, nonverbal cues, empathy, which is extremely important, respect, and most important, feedback. And I'm going to spend some time doing this. Now, listening is something which is crucial. And maybe we should take the next slide, Dr. Weber, please. So when we look at the next slide, I have taken this from a book that I've been reading recently, Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese guru. And he has written in this book, Buddhism Now, that Avalokiteshvara is a name of the Bodhisattva. And what does this Avalokiteshvara do? This aspect of the Buddha helps to relieve the suffering in the world. And how does it do that? Only by listening. Listening in order to understand. Listening without prejudice. Listening attentively. And so attentively that we don't only hear what the other person is saying, but we also hear probably what the other person has left unsaid. Now, this is something, not only we talk in terms of the Bodhisattva, but also in terms of our ancient gurus, yogis, and munis, and also for our own teachers. We have in our childhood, we have seen teachers, we have seen our own parents sometimes hear what we did not say. And that is a soft skill which we must hone and develop, in which we catch the unsaid. We look at the eyes of the person. We look at the body language of that person. We look at the expression of that person. We see whether that person is open, leaning forward, smiling, looking at you, making eye contact, or that person is averting your eyes, is body slanted away from you. And these are nonverbal cues that we will pick up. And then we will be able to understand what that person is really trying to avoid also saying. Okay, so let us take the next slide, in which this is the basic model which is given everywhere, from school books to the university books. We are all aware of it, but where am I here? Where do I place myself here? How do I communicate as a sender, as a person who's initiating a conversation? What is my state of mind? What is my attitude towards the person with whom I'm communicating? What kind of words am I using? How do I communicate? Should I have picked up the phone and called my colleague instead of sending her a quick WhatsApp chat? I really think I should have done that on second thoughts. And in hindsight, I'm much wiser. And then when I receive the message, how do I receive that? And am I prejudiced? Am I biased? Now, prejudice is depending on the group that person is part of. For example, we can say, oh, these people are from South India, or these people are from North India, and they always behave like this, or this is that community, and they always behave like this. Those are prejudices. And biases are which I might have with my colleague, and I say, okay, this person, he always behaves like this. I don't think I want to converse with him, or whatever I will say, he will always misunderstand. This is my bias. And so we need to be aware of them and try to weed them out, because those are barriers to communication. And rather, we should do what? We should try to be, friendly. We should try to show our confidence, even if the other person has a problem with you or you have a problem with the other person. It is there. We work with so many different kinds of people. How do we do that? We need to know how to resolve conflicts. That's an important soft skill, especially in the workplace. So how do we remove, this conflict situation? First of all, be confident of yourself, but not arrogant. There is a difference. Be confident and be firm, but also be friendly and be open-minded, because everybody has a point of view which is legitimate, and everybody has some point of view which is not so legitimate, including us. So we need to be open-minded about that. And then what do? We show empathy, and this is extremely important. We need to have empathy for our audience. So let's take the next slide, and I'm quickly sliding into that as I'm going to talking about the effective communication. So conflict resolutions, first of all, keep your emotions in check. Somebody shouting at you, please don't shout back. That is the most difficult thing to do. The easiest way to do that is to seal your lips. Please seal your lips. Please keep quiet. Do not respond immediately, okay? And keep your expression pleasant. How will that happen? It will happen with practice. So anytime somebody's rude to you, practice. That's an opportunity for you to practice it. So the moment somebody starts shouting at you, please smile and seal your lips. Try it. It works most of the time. Yeah? And so we keep our own emotions in check. We stay polite, and we let the person have their say, and then we respond very calmly, slowly, picking our words, and articulate, being very mindful and conscious of the words that you are going to use. And avoid words like, sir, you are always behaving like, sir, you always do that. Ma'am, you are always trying to run home early. Sir, you don't take any responsibilities. No, these are not things that we say at all. Even if it's come into our heads, we remove those thoughts, put them in the dustbin, and we only address the specific incident which is happening or taking place there. We limit ourselves to this specific present moment, and we don't bring everything from the past, all the fights that we had or disagreements that we had or something which had pinched us 2 years ago, but we had kept quiet then, but now we think this is the opportunity to articulate it. No, not at all. We just stick to the present. Most important, we do not get personal. There is no need to get personal with anybody ever. And I want to underline that, because, as colleagues, we have to spend time with each other for years and years together. And it's very unpleasant to have a colleague with whom you've had a terrible ruckus or a fight and you're not talking to each other. What kind of a soft skill have we practiced then? None at all. And so we need to also articulate it when it is necessary. We need to articulate it respectfully, politely, because what we say reflects us. It doesn't reflect the other person. So the words that are coming out of my mouth are reflecting me. So I need to be mindful of those. And then our tone should carry the message. So if we are saying respectful words, but we are shouting them out, then it's going to be an epic fail. Yes, it's going to be a fail. So if nothing succeeds, then it may be time to move away from that conversation and then maybe return to it when both of you or all of you are calmer. That's very, very important. So, and when we debate, we must debate, to reconcile, not to show I'm better than you or my point of view is better than you, but so that we reconcile, so that once again pleasantness is established, so we can coexist together, because that's ultimately our purpose. Okay, let's take the this slide, we need to know our audience, of course, because the way we are talking to our colleagues, we cannot talk to our students, appropriate channel, and of course, be very clear and concise. So we are on to the next. Effective communication for the recipients to listen actively. And that's very, 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 very important. I cannot, emphasize it enough. So listening actively, what do? First of all, we turn towards the speaker. That's a physical response. It has to be there. You don't look this way and that way. You look towards the speaker. You give full attention. And you don't only listen, but you appear to listen. That's very important because the speaker gets irritated if the speaker feels that you're not paying attention. So use verbal cues and non-verbal cues. Verbal cues, of course, are what? Yes, all right, okay. And non-verbal cues, smile, eye contact, yes, nod. Those are things that you can do. And change your expression as whatever is being said to you in response to that appropriately. And then hearing will happen automatically. There is noise, it will fall in your ears, your eardrums will vibrate, and there's hearing. But for listening, you need to be conscious of what is being said. You need to be neutral, non-judgmental, and patient. I have this habit. It's a bad habit. I'm working on it. Some people leave their sentences dangling, and I will rush in to finish it for them. That's the worst sort of disrespect we can do to our speakers. So we need to wait. We need to be patient. Yes, we need to do that. And then we need to be smiling, because that's very encouraging to the speaker. And we need to also have a posture which kind of shows that we are listening. So if somebody is listening and we are leaning forward and we are nodding, or we are listening with our chin and face in our hands, which we shouldn't do in Corona times, by the way. Yes, but this is something that shows that we are engaged in the conversation. And please don't distract the speaker, and don't be distracted yourself. So don't fidget, don't look away. Yes, don't look at the clock. That is criminal, I think. And don't be restless. Oh, when will this finish? When will this finish? Etc. Let's not do that. Let's give the respect of time. Time is the most beautiful and valuable gift, as we know. A life is measured in time. So if we really care, we will give our time to the person who is trying to communicate with us. Yes. So 3 things that I would like to reflect on or dwell on right now is that we need to question to encourage the speaker, and questions should be relevant and asked to qualify, and then to reflect, and then to clarify. Okay, so these are, we can go to the next slide, Dr. Weber, please. Let's go to the next slide. And how do we do that? So when we reflect, we actually paraphrase. We paraphrase, we closely rephrase what the person has told us or said to us, so that we are sure that we have understood. Speakers can also take that feedback, and we can also give that feedback. And then we ask open-ended questions, and we can ask some close-ended questions, because if we really need to say, okay, did you mean this? So there'll be a yes or a no. But open-ended questions would be questions in which it will be expanded. The explanation will be expanded. So we say, okay, can you tell me some more about this? And naturally, that then the sender will give us some more information. And summarize, and usually we summarize after quite a bit of conversation has taken place, communication has taken place, or also at the end of the communication, in which we take the main points, we reiterate them, and use them. We do that logically and concisely, so that everybody has understood what is happening. All right, so when we look at clarification, we offer back to the speaker our understanding of the message. What we have understood, the meaning that we have derived from is, And that is important so that we do not create any confusion. And then also shows interest, that we are interested. And then if there are complex messages, then I think it is better to go very slowly if we are talking, or rather committed to writing. So when we ask questions, whether it's in writing or whether it's verbal, we need to summarize in a way which is non-judgmental. Again, I'm going to say this in a way that we don't say, oh, you said this and you said that, and that is not what it means. These are the kind of things that we do not say at all. What we say is, this is what I'm hearing. Is this what you mean? And then we give the opportunity to the speaker to clarify further. So we have to be non-judgmental, and especially in a sensitive environment, we ask open questions, non-directive questions, so that the speaker is given an opportunity to speak more and help to clarify what we are saying. I think I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go a little faster. So let's look at reflection then. Reflection is, the purpose is to hear our own thoughts about the message that we've just heard, and then vocalize them or write them and send them back as feedback, so that we are sure that what we have understood is what has been said. So we can mirror it. By mirror, we mean we can repeat the keywords, we can paraphrase it, and because when we paraphrase, if we have made any wrong assumptions, or if we have used any stereotyping or perhaps even prejudice, then those will be likely to come out in our paraphrasing, and then they can be removed at this very stage. All right? Important thing, do not introduce your own ideas, and which is, what do we say, put our words into the speaker's mouth. We shouldn't do that. When we have our turn to speak, we will say what we feel, but we should not put our words in the speaker's mouth, and that's very, very important. So when we do reflecting and clarifying, etc., we are looking at three aspects. We are looking at we are looking at content, feeling, and meaning. Three things. So content, of course, is the information, the events, the experience, etc., etc. But feeling is extremely important also. The speaker has to accept their own feelings. We have to accept the speaker's feelings, and when we give the feedback, then they have to accept our feelings, and that's very important. And finally, we have to reach a stage where we all are on the same page as far as the meaning is concerned. So conflict situations, we have to avoid also non-verbal cues which are aggressive, which takes a stance which is very threatening, and rather we need to relax our bodies also. We need to relax where our hands are our fists clenched, and it's not only smiling and zipping our lips, but it's also the whole body needs to be in our control. We have to be in control, really. That's what it's talking about. And be aware also of the degree of intensity of that feeling, because is it some general feeling, or is it you're feeling very intensely, or you're feeling very extremely? Then you have to be very careful, especially if you're stressed and if you're upset. So we need to for example, I don't know what this this principal keeps saying. First he said this, now he's saying this, etc. So somebody who's listening to this rant may need to calmly say, okay, so has this confused you? Is this troubling? In which way is it troubling you? How can we put this right? So let's see what the principle really means, and and maybe circumstances change. So you need to diffuse that kind of a situation. So when we listen with empathy. Empathy, is to be aware of the other person's feelings, not only be aware, but try to feel that feeling. And so we understand, we react to the concerns of the person, like, this principle, then we need to show that, okay, we understand what you're going through. And also, we need to see, we need to help others also resolve this situation. So you develop that meaning with them. And we need to listen in a sense of service. We need to listen that, okay, somebody is taking this time to converse with me or communicate with me. I need to put their needs first. I need to respond to this. I need to show empathy at 3 levels. And the 3 levels of empathy are cognitive. Now, cognitive empathy is that we understand what is happening. Emotional empathy, we are one with your feelings. I can understand them. And the last one, which is very important, at least for me, it is compassionate empathy. So we understand what is happening, but we also take action, because communication ultimately will end in some kind of action. So we need to do that. All right. And so we go on to feedback, and that's very, very important. Send feedback. How do we do that? Verbal, non-verbal. Again, effective feedback is one in which we have clearly heard, understood, and accepted the message. And when we give it, then the person who's receiving the feedback now has also clearly heard it, understood it, and accepted it. And again, feedback should be about a certain specific behavior or moment, but not about that person's personality. We never make those kinds of contacts. We never make those kinds of comments. So no comment at all about that person's life, that person's personality. Oh, I know he doesn't get along with even his family. So what kind of, no, we don't do any such things. We don't comment on that person's intelligence or his life or her, relationships, nothing at all. We only describe the effect of the person's behavior on us. So my feelings, my thoughts, okay, you said this, and this is what I feel. So those are important. Finally, the barriers to communication. I think I have run out of time, so I will not read them. Most of us are aware of them. The more important ones are language barriers. We've already talked about them, jargon, terminologies, psychological barriers, our own self-esteem. That's a big, big red flag, because we have low self-esteem, so we are always very prickly with other people. So we need to develop our own self-esteem, that self-oriented soft skill. We need to develop that. To be in control of our emotional state, try to be free of stress, worries, etc., not to be aggressive. Those are all psychological. Physiological, if you are ill, if you have an impairment, if you are suffering from some disease, all these will be physiological barriers. We need to be aware of them, senders as well as receivers, and then try to navigate and negotiate with those physiological barriers. And then we have something known as physical barriers. We are all sitting so far from each other. There was a technology glitch in the morning for me. I can't apologize enough, by the way. But yes, that does become a problem, and so we need to find a way out of it also, and have the patience, really. And then attitudinal changes, our behavior, our perceptions of others, our personality conflicts, resistance to change, which most of us have post 50. And one very important is lack of motivation. So we need to build on our self-motivational skills. And then, of course, culture. If we are communicating across cultures, then we need to be aware of the cultural differences, and then we need to be aware of what is happening. So we overcome the barriers, of course, by being simple in our communication and by giving constructive feedback. Okay, let's take the next slide, and I think we will finish there. This is a very quick run that I have made on online communication, which we are doing. From my observances, we'll take the next slide, please, sir, Weber, sir, which is when we are preparing for online communication, we will look at, there are paraverbal, the next one, sir, the next one. There are paraverbal things that we need to pay attention to. So there's a smile, pay attention to the background. It shouldn't be too cluttered. Your own appearance. There was this very funny viral video in which a meeting of the executives finished, and then this boy got up, this young man executive got up and he began to dance, and he was only wearing his briefs. And the others had not, the meeting was still on and everybody could see him dancing in his briefs. So this is something we need to be very conscious of, because most of us are only changing our shirts and not changing our pajamas. So we need to be very aware of that appearance also, yes? And eye contact through the screen, body language, and also what safety measures we take, because Zoom, for example, had these security concerns. So we need to also feed them. Let's take the next slide, sir, and we are coming to the end. Yes, so verbal, paraverbal, and then can we take the next slide, sir? Verbal is, yeah, we know we need to be clear, we need to be to prepare, etc., and we need to repeat. And I have tried to repeat, because online you can't be sure whether the message has really gone across. And then co-verbal, like we are sharing a PPT. Somebody shared a music in the morning, and some people might even share graphs and charts. And post-verbal, once again, smile and then take your leave. It's very important to leave before you do anything else. And that sums it up for me. Thank you very much for your patient listening. I'm very grateful. I'm very obliged. Thank you so much.
Sir.
Thank you, madam. Here we have some questions from participants. The first question is from Dr. Naveen K. Mehta. The question is, how silence can be effective as communication in chaotic situations, like the present context?
Sorry, how silence can be practiced in?
How silence can be effective as communication in chaotic situations, like the present context.
Okay, yes. How silence can be perfected is one of the most important messages that the pandemic has given us. Because as soon as the lockdown happened, most of us lost touch with the outside world, except through our mobile phones, etc. There was so much time in the beginning. There was such a flurry of activity, really. And then as the lockdown developed, there was so much time for people to just sit and be. And I have searched on the net. The people who had signed up for meditational courses rose up phenomenally in these particular times. So how, whenever there is chaos, actually, that is the best time to just sit with yourself, to touch base with your inner self. When there is chaos, we actually retract from all the noise, and that's the barrier to communication. There is so much noise. There was so much fake news. There were so many viral videos that didn't we all get fed up of them? And didn't we all self-regulate? And didn't we all say, okay, let's not watch too much TV. Let us not look at too many viral videos. Let us put some time to update ourselves about the news. But let's not fill our days with all this noise. And so what we really actually always, in times of emergencies, critical times, times such as these are the best times to withdraw into yourself, to talk to yourself, to reassess yourself, and if you are spiritual, to be in touch with the divine. If you are not spiritual, to be in touch with your own heart, with your own thoughts. It's a great time to self-introspect. It's a great time, really, when we are not getting visitors, we are not being disturbed by the doorbell, where we can control all the media that we have access to. We can just switch it off if we like. I think it's a great question. And this is really the time for us to rediscover ourselves and to communicate with our own selves, to commune with our own selves and rediscover ourselves. It's a good time to go through the reassessment exercise that I had mentioned in the beginning. Yes, thank you.
One more question, madam.
Yes.
The question is, it is from Dr. R. Geeta. The question is, how to approach and tackle the passive and silent students?
Oh, great. Yes, that is a problem that many teachers have. And especially if your numbers are very big in the classroom, then what happens is generally that students who talk take away all the time, and students who are reserved and who are quiet, they usually do not get a chance to speak up or to communicate. Now, that is really in our hands. Usually, I will direct a question directly at a student who is silent without putting the student in a spot. Because sometimes students really don't want to speak, and then you cannot force them to speak. But you can, if possible, move in the classroom, go closer and have a one-to-one with a student or two. You can also communicate with those students outside the class so they feel confident and they feel comfortable enough to speak. We need to really pull them into the circle, and we need to have a group discussion in class, and then have the silent people as leaders, and then maybe they can communicate verbally. So they can write the report, and maybe somebody else can read them till they are comfortable enough to speak up for themselves. Because remember, when we are persuading a shy student to speak up or a reserved student to communicate, then we don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. So we work with them at their pace, but we can communicate with them in a written form. We can maybe take a test paper or an assignment and then talk to that student one-on-one. Yes, so different students will behave differently in class, but no student should get the message that the teacher is not paying attention to me. So even if you are smiling and making eye contact with that person, that is also a good beginning for that communication. Yes, for a communication to take place. So you smile at everybody, you look at everybody, and if that person is not comfortable standing up and speaking alone, then we make participatory methods of communication. So these are some of the things that we can try.
Thank you,
Yes,
madam.
sir? Okay.
Now I request Shreya Sabnis to thank Professor Dr. Meenakshi Atwal.
I'm sorry?
Madam, the question and answer session is over.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. So let's hear Dr. Vaibhav then. Let's hear him talk.
I request Shreya Sabnis to thank Professor Dr. Meenakshi Atwal.
First of all, I thank the organizer for giving me this wonderful opportunity in the national webinar. It is my proud privilege to express gratefulness to Honorable Professor Dr. Meenakshi Atwal, Madam, for accepting our invitation and spending her very precious time in guiding us. Today, we all need to learn soft skills, and her speech on that was really insightful and useful. On behalf of Government Degree College, Ichapuram, I heartily thank Madam.
Oh, thank you so much, Shreya. I am so glad to see you. Thank you. Very kind of you.
Now I request the Sri P. Ramakrishna, lecturer in English, Vice Principal and Accuracy Coordinator, to introduce second resource person, Professor Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis, to the principal, to the participants.
Madam, before I am introduced, I thank you personally because of our contact, relationship, respect, and that bonding. You are here. It's almost 4 years. You are here in Dhule nearly 4 years ago on 2nd June.
Yes,
2 days
but
have
it looks
passed
like
after the
yesterday.
anniversary.
I'm so grateful to you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed. I listened to each word of yours, and it was precious for me to learn many things. And about question and answer, it's very interesting that no sooner had the session begun when somebody asked the question without listening to. So there are some professional question askers also. Before listening, also they ask questions. Very
Well,
interesting.
I'm sure they had given it some thought before they came. So that's interesting. They had prepared
Yeah.
for the session, which is great. Yeah.
True, true. So I personally thank you, madam, for joining us.
My
And
pleasure.
I hope everything will be very fine there in Shimla too.
Yeah.
You all will be very safe and fine. Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you.
So thank you, Subramanian garu.
Nityanand sir, please start your video.
Start my video. Thank you. I feel very proud to present the profile of Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis, sir. His qualifications are MA, BEd, and SET, SET, and a PhD. He has been serving in the Department of English, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Memorial College of Law, Dhule, since 1999. He has successfully worked as coordinator of NAC and IQAC. He has specialization in ELT, Indian Writing in English, and legal language. He is the founder president of ELT at the rate India, English Language Teachers Association of India, Untitled Chapter. He is a research guide, KBC North Maharashtra University, Jargon. He rendered over 58 research papers published in national and international journals. He has participated in more than 60 national and international seminars and conferences. He has completed the UGC funded MRP on legal language. He has 7 research scholars, including a foreigner, who have successfully accomplished PhDs under the able guidance of Dr. Vaibhav Sabnis. He is presently guiding 4 PhD research scholars, which have chaired sessions, national and international seminars and conferences. He is the chairperson of the international conference held in Thailand also. He delivered a keynote speech in the UGC-sponsored national seminar at DB College, Boca, Nanded, and Nidavolu, AP also. He has delivered lectures and speeches as resource person, chief guest, and examiner at various national seminars, state programs, and colleges. He has delivered many lectures in various workshops, schools, colleges, NSS camps, legal literacy camps, and so on. He had the honor of being an external referee conducting the PhD Vivos. He has importantly published books with ISBN number as an editor. One, Indian Literature in English, some reflections. The second one is ELT, Innovative Methods and Techniques. And he has a collection of poems in English titled "Oh Love, Oh Life," has been recently published. He has rendered background voice to many local TV advertisements. He has participated in many programs on Dhule Radio also. I'm very thankful to our principal sir and coordinator and Dr. Sabnis sir also for giving me this opportunity. Now I invite Dr. Sabnis sir to explore, to share his ideas with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. It's nice to see another professor from Ichapuram besides Patnaik, sir. Honorable Principal, my very dear friend, my roommate during my RC at Vizag, Patnaik, sir. Honorable Professor Meenakshi F. Paul, madam. The coordinator, a smart man, a very, very techno-savvy person and coordinator of this national webinar, Mr. Subramaniam, Mr. Subbu Pudela, in other words. My dear friend, the organizing secretary of this webinar, Dr. Praveen Mahale, sir, because of whom we would avail this Zoom, and my very, very dear participants. I'm very happy here because listening to Meenakshi Paul Madam's words in the morning is really a great shower of blessings on me, I feel. 4 years ago, when I met her, I found almost all the soft skills very, very developed in her. And there were so many things to be learned from her. So these are the things which we don't learn in books. We don't learn through technology or online sources. These are the things that our inner mind teaches us, or our observation of some successful persons teaches us. She is a professor, but such a humble person, down to earth person, always cooperative, always smiling. I remember it was 2nd June, pretty hot in our area, almost 46 degrees Celsius. But she traveled all the way from Shimla, and she was here for conducting the PhD viva of my first candidate from North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. So this shows that this person has got so many skills. And later on, when I studied soft skills, I came to know that all these are soft skills. uh, I think we cannot separate one soft skill from the another, because though Madam spoke about the soft skills and hard skills, and I need not talk about them, we can definitely see that there are so many skills can be integrated. They are very, very complementary to each other. For example, if we talk about communication skills, we are talking about so many other things as well. We are talking about our attitude also, our approach also. We are talking about non-verbal communication, as Madam has pointed out. I have been delivering talks on communication skills for quite some time, but the way Honorable Meenakshi Paul Madam has delivered her talk today is really impressive. Very, 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 very insightful. A great learning experience for me. But I would like to go a step further, and I would like to talk about leadership qualities. So let me share my screen for more details. So when we talk about leadership qualities, when we talk about leaders, almost everybody feels that leaders means the political leaders, or the religious leaders, or the social leaders, or we talk about different industries, organizations, and associations, and we are necessarily talking about these leaders. But friends, let me tell you that I'm not going to talk about these typical leaders, or I would say the formal leaders, but I'm going to talk about leaders in general. For example, being the head of a 4-member family, I'm a leader of my family. When I go to my native place, where my elder brother is there, my mother is there, and all elderly people are there, then I don't remain a leader there, because my elder brother automatically becomes a leader. In my absence, my wife becomes a leader. And when I and my wife both are absent, my elder daughter becomes a leader. So there are leaders everywhere, a family and organization, a classroom as an organization. Being a teacher, we are the leader of our class. So it is not necessary for us that we are the principal, or we are the headmaster, or we are the headmistress of a particular school or college. It is not necessary. There are many situations, there are many contexts where our leadership qualities or our leadership skills are tested. That's why let's forget that leader does not mean a chairperson of a particular organization, or an association, or a political head, or a religious head, or head of some social concern. No, leaders are everywhere. They are there in animals, they are there in birds. It's a beautiful world that we watch on Discovery and other channels. Unfortunately, not actually, because we have killed so many tigers and lions, and we have made them endangered species. But if we look at them also, we find that Darwin's law, survival of the fittest, is quite applicable there. And then we see that there are leaders who are very active, who are very good in their hunting skills, etc. They have vision, they are always creative, and they are leaders in animals also. So this picture shows so many things. We find that usually in amongst birds, it's a mother who is a leader. It's the mother who looks after the kids. She hatches those eggs, etc. As far as birds are concerned, the same thing happens about the dogs also. It's the mother. Unfortunately, the human beings who are supposed to be very, very civilized and have the developed brain, have the patriarchy, where we feel that a born boy, a son, is the leader. Whether he is full of sense or without sense makes no difference, because it is our patriarchal society. It is the male dominated society where by default our male is a leader. But if you look at the picture, you find that this small bird, the kitten, the chicken, is trying to lead other birds. So this is what leadership is. So leadership does not mean you are entrusted by somebody. Now, when we talk about leadership, some people get confused about great people and leaders. So not necessarily that great people are great leaders, or great leaders may not be great people. This Shakespearean sentence says so many things, right? Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. Now, this is not applicable to the leaders, because all leaders are not born. When I'm saying all leaders are not born, some leaders are born. For example, we have so many political families in India and abroad where by default, the son or the daughter of a great politician, a reputed politician, becomes the next leader. So was the case when we used to see Charles I and Charles II and George this and George that, and the daughters, the sons and the wives, they became the kings and queens and emperors. So as far as politicians are concerned, yes, they are born in a particular family and they become a leader. People also accept them as leader because that family aura is there, that charisma is there of a particular family. But when we talk about leaders in general, then no leader is born. So if you think that you are not a good leader, then don't bother, because everybody feels that, or nobody is born leader that way. Even when you are born in a political family or a leading family, it does not make you a great leader or good leader. So not necessarily all the children or grandchildren of great politicians have become successful in political lives. And so I would like to give some examples of leadership qualities, or how we define a leader, how we define leadership qualities. Let's see, who is a leader? A person who influences group of people towards the achievement of a goal. So it can be a family member, or that is the head of the family. In many families, wives or the mothers are dominant because they are cleverer, they have better vision, etc. And that's why they lead the family towards the goal. I have experienced many families like this. Then he is the best leader or she is the best leader who motivates others to follow. So again, setting goals, following that becomes, or that person becomes a good leader. And then again, you have to set a goal, you have to be committed, you have to be devoted, you have to be dedicated, and you have to achieve. That's what the leaders' qualities are, the leaders' goals are, or the roles are. And again, John Maxwell has wonderfully said, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. So it is not just preaching, but practice. The leader has to practice whatever he or she preaches. That makes him or her a good leader. There are a few more definitions. For example, you need to have a vision, and then you have to follow that particular vision. You have to set out on a mission. And then again, a practical and a realist, and yet visionary and idealist. So it has to be the combination, the fusion of both these qualities, and that makes you a good leader. And the last one, hopefully, you cannot inspire unless you are inspired yourselves, or we ourselves need to inspire ourselves. Then only we can inspire others. And we can inspire others only when we have a vision, we have dedication, we have direction, we have a path. So, dear friends, why do we need leadership qualities? Because as a teacher in our class, we are leader and we need to show a good path to our students. Now, as Honorable Professor Meenakshi Paul Madam said, that because of pandemic, we are forced to have Zoom meetings, we are forced to have webinars, and like mushroom, they came from nowhere. And again, there is a question about UGC approval and all that. Don't bother about that. Let's focus on learning. Otherwise, what are we doing during lockdown? So here we find that Zoom has become a leader, unquestionable leader. Though there is Google Meet, there is WebEx, and there is this and there is that, but suddenly it has become a leader. So doing something unique makes you a leader. And hence we find that there are people who are leading the way, and then there are some people who are not leading the way. They are there only where they are stuck because they don't have a vision, They don't have methodologies and techniques, etc. So what are the leadership qualities? Miss, when we look at some leaders, we find that there are great qualities. When I met Professor Dr. Meenakshi Paul, madam, I found so many soft skills in her. I found so many leadership qualities in her. And after reading her profile, I came to know she is the principal now. When I met Nityanand Patnaik, sir, leadership qualities. And this is how we find that there are so many leadership qualities, but I have taken few. It is not necessary that we should find all these qualities in each person, each leader, but you can develop these qualities. So if you have a cursory glance at these leadership qualities: honesty and integrity, confidence or self-confidence, inspiring others, as we have seen in the definitions, commitment and passion. Then the leader should be a good communicator. Decision-making capabilities and powers should be there in the leader. Accountability, you should not blame others. Delegation and empowerment, and even inspiring others through that. Creativity and innovation, empathy, resilience, emotional intelligence, as madam also talked about that. Humility, which I have found a lot in Patnaik sir and Meenakshi Paul madam. Transparency, which again I have found, because we still remember her. Otherwise, referees, referees are not that cooperative, as I found. Meenakshi Paul madam, she was not just a referee, but our guest also, our very kind friend also, very cooperative, and that's why still that bonding is there. So vision and purpose has to be there. These are some of the leadership qualities. If you visit Google, if you see some other slides, etc., you'll find there are many more qualities that have been spoken, but I have taken few because it is not necessary to give all the qualities. The first quality a leader should have, and which I found in abundance in Meenakshi Paul madam, Patnaik sir, and many others, many other leaders again, is honesty. All of you know how this woodcutter, this farmer, was cutting some branch, and his axe fell in water, and the golden axe and all. So honesty is the best policy. The leader has to be very, very honest. Today we find that many leaders are fraudulent. We know some people who ran away abroad because of some problems here, the legal problems, etc., etc., because they are not honest, they are not transparent, they don't take their employees in confidence. Even when there is a management council, etc., or there is a management body, they are autocratic, they are dictators, and they are not honest, because their showing teeth are different, and the teeth they use for eating, chewing are different. So honesty is not their policy, and that is a problem with leaders. But a leader who is honest, for example, we have Mahatma Gandhi, who was very honest in his cause. Even though British gave him many, many offers and tried to bribe him in different ways, he never bothered. His cause was important for him. He was born for India, he died for India, he led our freedom struggle very honestly, very transparently, most importantly. So that is one of the qualities that that leader should have. So even when we talk about our family or our principal or a manager, whoever is there, we find that honesty is very, very important in many families, because there is discord in many families. Now let's focus on the discord in families. There are quarrels in families, there are fights in families. Everybody is involved in WhatsApp or social media, and fathers are usually out for partying, etc. Mothers are at home only all the time. Most of the mothers, I'm saying, most of the housewives, homemakers. And then when Mr. XYZ comes back, he gives the excuse that he was in a very, very important meeting. So honesty is not there. And that's why there are so many conflicts and clashes. So that leader, that person who is leading the family should be very, very honest. The second quality is confidence. That is a problem with so many people. Again, students leaders are there. Even in kindergarten also, we find that students are made leader. They are given the responsibility to control others, etc. So here on the left, there is an image where the T is torn apart. It is cut, because you should believe in yourself. And the leader should instill this confidence in the employees. The leader should instill this confidence in the family members or the members of a particular association. Confidence. I can. We can. And on the right side, there is a picture where the cat, which is usually afraid of dogs, is very confident because it believes in its abilities. It's very strong, and it is not afraid of the dog. So that is what confidence is. The leaders are born for that. When you have leadership qualities, you face the challenges, you overcome the challenges with confidence. You tell others also that yes, we can do that. And the next quality that a leader should possess, or leader has, usually great leaders have, is inspire, delegate, and empower others. I am the king, I am the rule, I am the state, I am everything. If that is our attitude, then definitely it is not good, because we have to inspire others. We have to give roles and responsibilities to others. Every employee should feel that yes, it is my organization, it is my association. I am for this association. It is my responsibility. It is my duty to contribute something to the organization. Otherwise, we find many organizations, many industries, many factories where these workers don't feel at home. The workers feel they are just workers, and the owners come, the leaders come, the bosses come, the managers come as the bosses, as the leaders, or as the somebody like managers, not as a part of them. So when we feel, or when we make them feel, the workers especially, that it is everybody's association and everybody's share is significant, that contribution is significant, then that fellow feeling will be generated. And for that, the leader should not do everything himself or herself. He or she should instill confidence in others, delegate, give respect, give opportunity, give honor to others also. And this empowerment leads to success of a particular organization or family, even family. We can entrust the small children in our family with some responsibilities. Next one is fairness. Everywhere what we find is there is bias on the basis of caste, background, or so many other things are there for the bias. There is prejudice, there is criticism against one another, there is subjectivity, and there is no objectivity many times in promotion or in assignments of duties and responsibilities, and too much of personalization is there. This, it is one to one many times, and which is very, very dangerous, very, very harmful to the growth of an institution. That's why fairness, that objectivity, that impartiality, that unbiased, unprejudiced attitude and approach is necessary for a leader. Otherwise, if a leader has that bias, if we look at our own politicians or social activists, if we find them they are biased, then definitely it is not good for the growth of the institute. And second most important thing after this is commitment and passion. The leader should be committed. If we look at our cricket team, once upon a time, Mahendra Singh Dhoni came as just a wicket keeper, then a batsman with some different kind of style, that six hitting style especially. And then we found that the BCCI entrusted him with the role of a captain, and he did it very well. He was not just a good player, a good wicket keeper, or a good batsman, but he was a good leader, because his communication skills, his remaining calm, his commitment, his entrusting others, empowering others, and passion to win, that was important. But next came Virat Kohli, who is more passionate, who is more committed, who is a better player, better batsman, though very hot and angry, which is not good, which is not a good sign of a good leader. And this is how we found that these leaders changed. Now Dhoni was replaced because he was aging, and somebody was to be replaced with future strategies and tactics. And yeah, that change is permanent always. And here is a picture which shows about commitment and passion. On the left is an ant who has lifted a log. It is that commitment and passion. It is the belief, self-belief. It is that confidence. It is that devotion. Many times we don't understand the fire within. It is the duty of the leader to make you understand that there is some spark in you. And when you ignite that spark, you can do miracles, you can create miracles. So if a leader tries to instill this particular quality amongst the employees, amongst the students, when a teacher does it, or a leader of family does it amongst the family members. Why China is progressing? On one hand, there is dictatorship and autocracy, that communism is there, and this. There is no other opinion. There is no other side of that. Coins in China do not have the other side particularly. But in many families, yes, democratic atmosphere is there, and the people are asked to be committed. Why goods in China are cheaper? When we try to introspect, then we come to know that yes, everybody contributes. But what happens in our families? We have a maid servant, we have a maid for this and that, for cooking, for cleaning, for this and that. We have a gardener there, and our people, our family members are just watching television. They are just doing a time pass, or they are contributing to clubs, circles, etc. But they are not doing anything at their homes. So every individual needs to contribute, and that is where China is different from India. Of course, we are going to talk about the Chinese policies of imperialism later on, because everything is not good with them, but some of the things are very good. So my point is, every family member should be committed, and that passion needs to be ignited by the leader. And here is the famous poem, and it is always a pleasure to listen to the poem in the voice of Amitabh ji. So नन्ही चिट्ठी जब दादा लेकर चलती है, चढ़ती दीवारों पर 100 बार फिसलती है, मन का विश्वास रगों में साहस भरता है, चढ़कर गिरना, गिरकर चढ़ना न आखरता है, आखिर उसकी मेहनत बेकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. So this is where the leader needs to instill that confidence in others. So leader may be again a teacher. There are students from tribal areas, from rural areas. In my class, there was a girl from tribal area, nearly 60-70 kilometers from Dhule, where my workplace is. And when she came, she was without confidence. She was having some inferiority complex, being a tribal girl, being a very poor girl, being a girl from that Jilla Parishad school, etc., etc. But when we talked about instilling confidence, when we said that opportunities are there for everybody, if you work hard, definitely will be there. And that girl is the gold medalist of my college. Recently, that girl has qualified net examination also. So that is the commitment and passion that the leader needs to have and needs to instill in others. Accountability. What we do always is blame game. We project others. For example, when question papers comes, if the teacher fails to understand the question paper, he blames the university authorities. He blames the decision makers and policy makers, those who design the syllabus. He or she blames the BOS and all that. So accountability is very important. Always a leader should say that if there is failure, then it is his or her responsibility. If there is success or there is victory, it is to be shared by all. So he should or she should give the credit of victory and joy to all the members of that association. Maybe a class, maybe a family, maybe an industry, maybe an association or organization or federation. But when it comes to the failure, usually what the leaders do, they simply put that blame on others, that it is because of these employees, it is because of these family members that we have failed. So don't do that projection. Don't shift that particular thing, blame on others. Accountability. The leader should be accountable for his or her actions. That is how he can instill that accountability in others also. Creativity and innovation. Creativity is very, very necessary. You can see on your left, though so many things are there in creativity also. So it needs to have idea. If you look at our advertisements, etc., there are some leading channels. If new channels are there, serials are there, movies are there. Once upon a time, we used to watch just Doordarshan. I never thought that there will be such kinds of channels. And in those days, our mother tongue Marathi channels especially, they were not that good. Sahyadri channel was there. But today, because of this cable television, we find that there are many leaders coming up. And that is because of creativity and innovation. So when a particular channel is a leader, when a particular advertisement agency is a leader, it is because creativity and innovation are there. So for a chocolate of just 50 paisa, once upon a time you used to watch that Chloromint or Mentos, and it was a very creative advertisement. So this is how the leaders need to be creative. They need to be innovative. If the same thing goes on for many, many days, then change is expected and change is permanent. And that's why creative thinking and constant innovation is necessary. What new can be done? We have seen in the course of time that the companies, very leading companies, market leaders like Nokia and like HMT, like Ambassador Car, they have disappeared from the market almost. And the place has been taken by some new market leaders. That is because of creativity and innovation. You cannot be a permanent leader because there will be other leaders waiting to be leaders, or there will be other market leaders, people, other products, companies trying to replace you. That competition is always there. So when you want to survive in that competition, you need creativity and innovation. The same thing happens in our class. That suppose English is taught by some 4 or 5 teachers, different some teachers poetry, fiction, etc. Suddenly students start comparing the teachers, and then we feel, oh, I am nowhere. This teacher is better because that teacher is innovative and creative. Nowadays, many people blame the webinars and all that. And there are people who are really responsible for that blame because they just register, they are waiting for the feedback form, etc. etc. Here, the innovative is that now technology is the only alternative left during the lockdown. We cannot go to our classes, students cannot come there because this COVID-19 is affecting our lives very badly. Every day new cases are there. So what is innovative? What is creative? How can we do so many things with online teaching? And this is where technology comes, e-tools come. And today those who are expert in e-content development, e-tools or ICT-based teaching, then they are ahead of the time. So we are talking about Google Classroom now because this physical classroom is nowhere because of COVID-19. So we are talking about the virtual classroom. We are talking about test modes for evaluation. We are talking about ed mode for evaluation. Every time we are waiting for 2 Google forms. One is the registration form and the other one is the feedback form. And the certificate is auto-generated, most importantly. So this is where creativity is there, and you can become a leader. You can be distinctive. You can be unique. You can be uncommon only when you are creative and innovative. So what is the difference between a leader and follower? Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. A leader introduces creativity and innovation, and then there are followers who follow them. Next one is empathy. I again remember, and I want to talk about Meenakshi Paul, madam. When we took her to Ajanta Ellora caves and all, she was full of empathy for us. She had traveled mostly, and she had traveled overnight from Mumbai to Dhule, and then Jalgaon, and then Ajanta Ellora, and then Manmad. And she was supposed to take a train in the morning, but she understood our pain. And that pain was in her behavior, in her tone, in her voice, in her language, everywhere that tone was there. And that is empathy. So we find that in many factories, many companies, many associations, and in many families, that a woman is working day and night, and yet that boss, that male dominated person, that representative of this male dominance comes and tells more things. This picture is degradable in the villages. A woman has to do so many things, cooking, this, cleaning, washing the clothes, etc. And she has to work in the farm also. She has to collect the fuel also. She has to go out here and there. She has to bring the wooden sticks, etc., or something as a fuel. So these are so many things, responsibilities that a woman faces there, and she is the true leader. Unfortunately, she is a woman, and it is a male-dominated society. So this man, a politician, a sarpanch or a village head, goes out, chats it here and there, wastes time, has parties and all that, comes back, doesn't feel the pain of his wife. We don't feel the pain of our mother or wife. And this is where empathy is necessary. A leader should understand the pain of the followers, the fellow workers, the employees, that they are human beings. They are not machines. We stop machine after some time because it gets heated. These are human beings. We should treat them as human beings. And here is where we talk about human rights. We talk about fundamental rights. We talk about our fellow feelings, humanitarian approach. So this is where empathy is necessary. So there is a very beautiful poem in Marathi. फक्त हो म्हणा. That student is demoralized, disillusioned, frustrated, low in confidence, and he expects a teacher just to put his hand on his shoulders and say, yes, my dear, go ahead, I am with you. So that feeling is necessary, and that pain will be relieved and removed. Next one is resilience. I found so many very beautiful pictures on Google. I have given the links in the end, references in the end. So we talk about problems. We always complain about problems, but there are solutions. There are ways coming out of these problems, and that is where leader is different from the followers. So we have to suggest alternatives. We find that in cricket also there is plan A, there is plan B. When we watch Kabaddi, Pro Kabaddi, etc., again we find there too that there is plan A, there is plan B, etc., etc. And this is where leaders are at work. They need to have different solutions to various problems. So here you can see that this banyan tree or this people tree, most of the times it comes on different buildings. It comes from nowhere where there is no possibility, but it springs from there. And that is what we are working on the solutions. So here is a tree, actually a cut off tree, only it's that log is remaining, but out of that banyan tree is springing, coming out. So that is where the leader needs to work. So leadership qualities or leaders skills are tested then when there are problems, when there are challenges. So how he or she comes out of that problem. So today we find that the world is facing so many problems because of pandemic, but there are some states in India who have found solutions out of that. When there is nothing in the family to eat in the household, it is the mother, it is that woman in the family who tries to find some way out. And that is where you can see this sapling coming out of nowhere. So it is like phoenix coming out of nowhere, coming from ashes. That is what resilience is. The next slide will explain this more. With this, we need positive attitude. I love this particular sentence very much. If you are not the part of solution, you are the part of a problem. I will go little ahead. If you are not the part of solution, you are a problem, because you need to be the part of solution. Now, in that African picture, African proverb, you can see that everybody chained, they are trying to get out of it. They are trying to move ahead together. But this one fellow is a problem because he is not a part of that solution. So he's a problem actually. So this is where, as a leader, as a member of that family or association, you need to come out of that. You need to help contribute significantly for the solution. Otherwise, you are a problem. And on the right, this is again an appealing kind of proverb. I cried because, not proverb exactly, a saying, a sentence. I cried because I had no shoes. Then I met a man who had no feet. So we have so many things, and yet we complain. We have negative attitude. We say that I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have that. And I'm reminded of Amitabh Bachchan and Shashi Kapoor's dialogue in that movie. If I'm not wrong, it was Diwar. And where Shashi Kapoor says that, "Mere paas gaadi hai, mere paas bangla hai, mere paas ye hai, wo hai." And Amitabh answers and silences Shashi Kapoor with one single sentence, not word. "Mere paas maa hai." Tere paas kya hai? Mere paas maa hai. This maa is mightier, stronger than all the material things like car, bungalow, etc., etc. So many times we have a ma, and yet we find that I don't have anything, I have nothing. So that ma is enough for you to achieve anything that you need to have in life. So our focus always is what we don't have. Instead, we should focus on what we have. So we have a complaint that I don't have shoes or good shoes. I complained God that I don't have proper shoes, good shoes, until I saw a man who had no feet. So there are people who don't have feet. We are talking about the men or people who have, we are talking about the shoes that we need to have, but people don't have feet. And another thing I would like to say, that many people say that our taqdeer, our destiny, our fate is written on our palm. So I would like to tell you, my friends, and that is where the leader needs to instill that positive attitude among the employees, the members of the family, etc. अरे जिनके हाथ नहीं होते, तकदीर तो उनकी भी होती है. You don't need to have a palm, a hand, an arm to have taqdeer. तकदीर तो उनकी भी होती है. Even those people have the destiny who do not have these hands, arms also. So that's where positive attitude is. So the leaders need to have that positive attitude, and they need to infuse that positive attitude in others. Honorable Meenakshi Paul Madam has already talked about emotional intelligence. We need not be formal. We need not be very cold and frigid with our employees, with our other members. We should understand their emotions. We should understand their pain. We should be one with their feelings. And this is where we can resolve the conflicts. We can come out of the problems. So that emotional intelligence is very, very important for a leader. Humility. We have seen this is a Chinese proverb on the left. Yes, we are trying to boycott everything Chinese because there is a standoff at Ladakh and all. And yes, the imperialism of China is dangerous to the world. I too feel so. Yes, but there are some things which are positive, which are good. We should say they are good. So it is, the example is like of a bamboo stick. So be like the bamboo. The higher you grow, the deeper you go. A tree which has fruits bows down. A tree which does not have fruit stands very erected. So that's the difference in humility and pride. So we have seen in many places, like in Bible especially, that pride is considered as one of the 7 deadly sins. And don't forget to watch on Discovery or Animal Planet or National Geographic, where we find that animals have been shown having these deadly sins. So pride is shown in a lion and in a peacock, and how that is deadly, that is fatal, that is dangerous for the lion and the peacock that is shown. Very interesting. So pride, we need to have pride to some extent. But if we underestimate others because of our pride, if we underestimate because of our ego, then that is dangerous. But if we are down to earth, if the leader is down to earth, if the leader has that humility, if he or she is very humble, then definitely he or she can be more successful. And that's why Thomas Metron has said, pride makes us artificial and humility makes us real. So we should be real. We should be genuine human beings. And our emphasis should be on problem solving and the team dynamics. We should not focus on self-glorification or self-assertion. We should take into consideration the points of view of others too. The next one is transparency. We have talked about honesty in the beginning, and it is rather equivalent to transparency, I would say. So here we should be very clear. We should give autonomy. When we take decisions, we should consult others. They also feel very happy. For example, we have a 4-year-old kid in our family, and we are planning to buy a car. Then you should ask, which car shall we purchase? Definitely, they must have watched some cars, advertisements of cars on the television, etc. And they'll say, Baba, Papa, Daddy will purchase this car. They will feel very happy, and you can convince them, no, beta, this car is better because this. So this is how, whenever you are taking a decision, whenever you are acting something, doing something, that transparency has to be there in your behavior. And goals, values, mission, and purpose, and intention, these are very, very important things. And Chuck Welch has rightly said, good business leaders create a vision, articulate the vision, passionately own the vision, and relentlessly drive it to completion. That's where vision is necessary. Now, because of NAC and all, almost every college has a vision, has a mission, has objectives and goals. Are we trying to achieve them? Are we contributing in achievement of them? That is a big question. But whether it is a family, whether it is an association, we need, that is, a leader needs to have vision and purpose. And another thing is dedication. Dedicated efforts are necessary. Sometimes that dedication is to be instilled in others also, and we ourselves should follow that. When I look at Virat Kohli, I find that dedication, that dedicated effort, because he is there, and when he is there, like Sachin Tendulkar, we feel that yes, we will win, India will win. Now, dear friends, here are some of the great leaders of past. So we have some examples, like I already talked about Mahatma Gandhi. Let's talk about some other leaders like Martin Luther King also. We had Napoleon Bonaparte, we had Hitler. Diverse kinds of leaders were there in history. There were good qualities in almost everybody. So when we hate Hitler because of the genocide and all, definitely we should hate for that particular quality. But there are many other qualities. We cannot have all the good qualities in a particular leader. So even we blame Mahatma Gandhi for so many things, because we blame everybody. Tomorrow we'll blame ourselves also for something. But when these people came out of nowhere, they tried to have their own place where they didn't have that heredity, they didn't have that ancestral kind of links. That is incredible. So we have great people in the past, and we have great people in different areas. For example, Mark Zuckerberg is there, who is a leader because of Facebook and all. And we have Sundar Pichai, and we have so many other people who are leading the ways. And today, this is again taken from internet. So don't blame me to have these leaders only. Why these leaders? There are these leaders also. So these are the leaders today, world leaders. Yes, there is this Chinese premier. There is Vladimir Putin also. Unfortunately, we don't have Donald Trump here, but definitely Barack Obama was definitely a wonderful leader, a great orator, great person too, and came from very humble background. So about Martin Luther King, I wanted to tell you that he belonged to a very poor family. I think shoemaker's family, and somebody in the parliament teased him, mocked at him, and he said that, "Oh, you belong to a very poor family, shoemakers, this and that." And he replied very humbly, "Yes, now also I do it. I proudly do this." So we should respect the jobs. We should respect these works. We should not underestimate people on the basis of their work, what they do, what their profession or occupation is. And undoubtedly, when we see that Chinese premier is trying to enlarge, expand his kingdom, we find that there is a hope from the Taiwanese strong lady, the Tsai, very strong lady, very small country, but she is not afraid of the China. She is not afraid of China. We have Narendra Ji Modi in India, who was a chai seller, tea seller, and now he's a leader, a wonderful orator. I think 85% people have said that yes, he has handled this situation amidst COVID very nicely. And this is what survey has been shown on different channels, in different print media also. And then we have religious heads today. Yes, we have some religious heads who don't deserve to be religious heads. They tell wrong things, instigate people, provoke people, that is wrong. And then there are some leaders who belong to social fabrics. So we have the great Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, who again studied for many, many hours and tried to emancipate the downtrodden, great task, social leader, political leader. So this is how leaders, they are not born, but because of different situations, because of their contribution, their commitment, they become the leaders. So there is difference between boss and leader. We find that in our colleges, in our associations and schools, there are bosses. In our family also, there are bosses. So that is the distinction between a boss and a leader. So please read. I'm not going to read because we are running out of time. So that is the difference between a boss and a leader. The next picture will show the better difference in brief. So this is what the boss is. He will just command and direct others to do the work. And when there is a leader leads by example. He or she is there leading the way. It is not that you do it and I will be just watching you or bossing you or dictating you. That is the difference between a boss and leader. What do we find today? There are more bosses and there are less leaders. And that's why we need to be a leader and not a boss. Again, there are good leaders and there are bad leaders. So bad leader qualities belong to the boss quality. So a little bit of repetition, we can see that bad leaders are rude, they lie, they are violent, they are not transparent, they are not smart, they are time wasters, they are selfish, they always glorify themselves, they say I instead of say we. That's the difference between good and bad leaders. And that is almost the last slide that I want to tell you. You can be the leader. It's not that you cannot be. If you are a student, you can be. If you're a teacher, you can be. Or you are a leader. Let's be a better leader. So you can see a good leader is one who, after reaching the top of the mountain, tries to take others on the top of the mountain. So you as a teacher, you as a family member, you as the leader of your family, You, as the leader of your organization, you should lead with an example. You should motivate others to lead, to come with you. They are your comrades. It is by chance, it is by coincidence, it is by grace of God that you are a leader. Does not mean you are everything. And that's why everybody should try to instill these things in ourselves. We need to have better communication skills. We need to have that soft tone, good non-verbal communication. We need to have assertiveness sometimes. We need to be like very hard sometimes very soft depending upon the situation. And most importantly, you should believe in yourself and you should make others believe in themselves. That makes you a good leader. Because of constraint of time, I am finishing this. I thank Dr. Nityanand Patnaik sir for giving me this opportunity. I thank all the participants. I apologize the participants who could not join because of some error 3038. We don't know. We are not that expert in technology, but we apologize for that. And technology does not support always. Internet is also an issue. So though I am not the organization, I am the part of organization, and that's why I should be the part of the solution. I tried my best also. So we are overwhelmed by 3,678 participants responding to us, registering. Thank you. Most of them are there with us. Many of them could not register, but they are watching on YouTube. We are really sorry that you could not join Zoom room, though there is room, there is place for you to come. So now if anybody is interested in giving video feedback, I'll give the chance. So you can write briefly in the chat box, your name, etc., so that we can highlight, spotlight you. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. If I said anything wrong, please forgive me. I apologize humbly if I said something or I hurt the sentiments of somebody knowingly or unknowingly. Thanks a lot. Be safe, be fine, be very, very secure amidst Corona. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I request Dr. Praveen Male sir to lead some questions.
Thank you, sir. The first question is from Randir Kumar, sir. I am allowing to him. Randir Kumar, sir.
Sir, actually, we should not let them ask questions. We'll take only 2 feedbacks from them. And you should ask their questions. Just 3-4 important questions.
Okay, okay.
Yes, sir, please. Sir, will you please read questions on their behalf?
Okay, sir. Krishna Tankala, the question from Krishna Tankala. Would you mind telling me that how could we face new audiences?
Very good question. See, we should not be afraid of audience. Now, I don't know who you are. I cannot see your faces also. If we are confident of our topic, if we have command over our language, then definitely we can face any audience in the world. So if we are honest with the cause, we are not doing copy and paste. There is no plagiarism. Or when we are committed, we have worked hard. For example, I have worked hard not just on PPTs, but on the topic also. So I have studied. I have done in-depth study of that. And because of that, I'm not afraid of the audience. So it is the matter of confidence and practice. Once you practice with small audience, then definitely nobody can stop you. You can remain unstoppable. Thank you.
Another question is from Dharanya B, Andhra Pradesh. How to develop communicative skills with activities? Can you suggest few activities for ESL students?
Okay, thank you for this question. I'll answer this question briefly, but I request Meenakshi Paul madam to answer this question. So I'm trying to unmute madam also. Very good question. Actually, our classroom activities should be full of so many things. So there are newer things every day. We should make the most of these technological tools also. And when you motivate your students, because what we do in the classroom is teaching. If we try to motivate the students to learn, if collaborative learning is there, if you entrust the students with roles and responsibilities, if you make your classroom very lively and active and vibrant, then definitely they will have better learning opportunities for the students. So, if you start teaching, just teaching, then students get bored. They start sleeping many times. They start sketching the cartoons and all that. If you give them some activities, some tasks all the time, then they remain engaged and they enjoy that particular task. And through fun, through joy, they learn everything. I request Meenakshi Paul Madam to answer this question. She can answer this better.
Thank you so much, Dr. Weber. Excellent answer you've already given. What we need to do is have more activities in the classroom. I have found that role play does very well because I'm a literature teacher. So if we have role play, we have group discussions, we have quizzes in class, or we have informal conversations. And those informal conversations may be about a movie. For example, I remember when the movie Dangal came out, I didn't like the movie at all. And my students loved it. So we had a long conversation about why they loved it and I did not like it at all. And as we were talking, there was so much information that was mined out of those conversations, and I got to know the young people's attitudes, their perceptions, and I was able to also sometimes guide them. For example, talk about toxic masculinity and what masculinity really means. And there was this boy in our class who was kind of feeling the pressure of his caste as well as of his poor background. And he would normally not talk. But once we started discussing the film, he came out with such wonderful insights into how it feels for a young boy who is disadvantaged in certain ways in society, and how a movie like Dangal did not resonate with him at all. And in that group activity where we were simply talking, laughing, having fun, singing songs, and there was this horrible song about Munni in that movie, which as a woman I was very offended with. But youngsters were happily dancing to it. So we launched into a discussion about women's issues. And then how did we do that? No big talk, just how women are treated at home. What did Dadi do? What does Mama do? How does Papa treat Mummy? And what do you think you can do? Etc., etc. And I think it was a lovely 1 hour spent with the children. No syllabus got covered, but I think a lot of soft skills were imparted. So quizzes, discussions, role play, games, these are some things that we should do with our students whenever possible. I understand the constraint of time and also discipline, etc. But whenever we can, I think we should do that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Praveen, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next question, please. If it is there.
And this sort of persuasion in this personal are possible in learning teaching mode 2. Dr. Gunjan asking about this question.
Sir, I couldn't
repeat
understand
the
the question. Please repeat.
Can this sort of persuasion, this personal are possible in learning teaching mode?
The question has not been asked properly, but still we'll try to answer. Persuasion, teaching, learning, these are the key words, and we'll try to answer that. Meenakshi Paul, madam, I think you can answer better.
Oh, yes. Well, persuasion is the starting point. So we can sow some seeds and we can try to guide them as leaders. Dr. Weber made that wonderful presentation about leadership. We can lead because we have a vision. We have a vision of an equal society, of a just society, of a sensitive society. So our vision is clear. So now we need to impart that vision, share it with everybody, make others also equally invested in that vision. And I think it will begin with verbalizing it first. So once we have verbalized it, we've shared it with each other, I think persuasion will be one of the most effective ways of doing it. because it's not, this is not something that you can bring with a stick. So logic, reasoning, reasonableness, appealing to the better side of the person, appealing to the higher values of our own culture and our own civilization. When we bring them on board, I am sure persuasion will go a very long way. So they can think about it, they can reflect about it. We give them lots of reading material, we continue the discussion, and bit by bit, in stages, we take it forward. And we will ultimately reach a position where we will act on that vision, on our understanding of the issue. And without persuasion, there is no beginning, really, on that issue. I hope you agree.
Another
But
question.
if you
Okay.
don't,
Another
you
question
can very well reply with your response. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Thank you,
very
ma'am.
much satisfied with your response. I got a very good response. Understanding of the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Another question is from how could we engage all the students online? The
It
question
is
is
not.
asking from
Yes.
Yashodarani.
Madam, thanks for this question. It is not possible to engage all the students online because there are so many constraints. The electricity is a problem, the network is an issue. Many students do not possess a mobile because of poverty. So you cannot engage every student every time online. It depends upon the resources that you have. So you need to make the most of them. So before that, you need to have different tactics. For example, you should be very, very comfortable with Google Classroom. If you want to upload the material, the links, and you want to interact with your students, or there is Edamodo, just like Google Classroom, where you can post the material, you can post the quizzes, you can assess the students' performance, or straightway, suppose you know that a student has a very simple phone just for talking purpose, you can simply call the student and interact with the student. That is also possible amidst this lockdown in particular. So the thing is our dedication and devotion and finding different ways. Thank you.
Another question is from Dr. Srinivas Gade. Which factors are required for soft skills?
Soft skills is a very, very broad area, and Honorable Meenakshi Paul Madam in the beginning itself has talked about that. There are too many things. We have just talked about some soft skills, and that too, I went deeper in leadership qualities, and Madam went deeper in communication skills. But there are so many offshoots of these soft skills. What you need is to read, to understand, to observe, and learn, update yourself. Because there are so many things that you need from inside. It is not from outside. So that inside will be reflected through your behavior, through your approach, through your attitude. And so it is a continuous process. Rome was not built in a day. So you cannot change overnight. It will take time. But you need to learn, you need to know, and then you need to be the part of that change.
And the last question is there. The anonymous participant is there. There is no name. How to make a perfect official relationship as a leader?
See, it is the culmination of so many things. Means whatever we spoke about, that that leader should be not a boss but a leader with communication skills. In communication skills, again, so many things will come. How you treat your fellow members, students, or the employees, or the participants, whether you are having that ego or not, whether you are autocritic or not. It depends upon so many things. Means whenever you assign a particular work, you need to empower the person. It is not just assignment of work. And if there is better communication involved, and if the person who has been assigned the work feels inspired and motivated to work, and he or she feels that it is his or her own work and not a work being assigned or thrust upon him or her, then definitely there will be a better accord between that leader and the employees or the parts or the members of that organization. I request Meenakshi Paul Madam also to answer this question.
Well, I think you have already answered it, Dr. Vaibhav. Soft skills, like I said, it will go into tens and hundreds, really. So you need to check for yourself what are the major prioritized soft skills that you require. And communication and leadership, by the way, is right on top. So we begin with that. And then you, depending on your job, for example, if you are a marketing person, then you will need to hone your communication, also understanding, etc. If you're a teacher, empathy will come very high in your soft skill ladder. So everybody will make their own basket of skills. For doctors, for example, when I do communication skills with them, I put empathy and sensitivity right on top. If it's a police officer, for example, then cultural understanding is very important. Reining in their aggression is very important. Empathy comes again in police. Being thorough, being meticulous, being very careful, being impartial. These are qualities that a policeman must or policewoman must have. So really, it depends on your context. So like I said in the beginning, soft skills also depend on your context. So each one will have a different basket of soft skills, which you will make, and which you will make your own basket for yourself. But yes, there are certain soft skills which are very common, for like communication, like empathy, like listening. These are basic, really. But beyond that, you'll have to see for yourself. For teachers, self-motivation is an extremely important soft skill, which we must put into our baskets because there are so many challenges. How do we teach large numbers? Students are not interested in studying anymore. There is no infrastructure in place. There is so much pressure. There's so many assignments and tests to be checked. There's so much preparation to be done. There's no work-life balance. Teachers are always taking their work back home, etc. So we really need to have self-motivation. We really need to have perseverance as teachers. So it will depend really from from each individual's perspective and where you are situated. I can't hear
Thank you, ma'am.
anybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I hand over to Dr. P.L. Subramaniam, sir.
Subramaniam sir will take a couple of feedbacks. Nitin Kapdi sir, I'm trying to unmute you. Will you give a brief feedback? Because you know Meenakshi Paul madam also. We traveled along with madam from Mumbai to Dhule, Jalgaon.
Oh, okay. How nice.
Kapdi sir, are you there?
Yes, sir.
You can give your feedback briefly. Nitin Kapdi sir.
Sir, thank you for answering the questions in such a way. And thanking you both the resource persons. Now I would like to request Anusha Patnaik to thank for Vaibhav Sabnis, sir.
Patnaik sir, Subramaniam sir, before that we'll take a couple of feedbacks. And one of them is Mr. Nitin Kapdi sir. Kapdi sir, are you there?
Yes, sir, but I don't have headphone. That's why.
But you are audible. Please speak.
Yes, audible.
Okay.
Head is enough. We don't need phones.
Yes.
Please.
Hello.
You are audible. Please continue.
Yes, ma'am. Today I'm really lucky that I got the opportunity to listen you. It was really intellectual feast for me, like that got the opportunity to listen you again. And your session was very nice. Because yourself is an role model that when the soft skills are concerned, so everybody should have his basket. I am really appreciate that point, and you yourself is role model for us, ma'am.
You are very kind, I must say.
Yeah, ma'am. Overall, the session was really fruitful for me like this. Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Subramaniam sir, if anybody one more we can give an opportunity to somebody else if he or she is there. Some people are asking about feedback link. We have sent it via emails. You may get tomorrow also. Please keep patience. Yes, Subramaniam sir, over to you.
शिमला मॅडम होती ती
Now I request Anusha Patnaik to thank Vaibhav Sabnis.
Hey, Anusha, are you there? Anusha? Till then, you can take one more feedback. Okay, I'm trying. Indu Mahi, we are trying to enable you to give your feedback. Are you interested? Subramaniam sir, you please propose a vote of thanks, or Praveen sir will do, because Patnaik sir doesn't seem to be there.
Hello.
Yes.
On behalf of Government Degree College, Ichapuram, I express my sincere gratitude towards today's resource person, Honorable Professor Dr. Meenakshi Paul Madam, for delivering a wonderful speech on soft skills. I also express my gratitude towards another speaker, Dr. Vaibhavji Sabnis sir, for delivering a very wonderful talk on the leadership management. I also express my gratitude towards principal of Government Degree College Ichapuram, Honorable Dr. Patnaik sir, for providing all necessary facilities and being a part of this event. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I also express my sincere gratitude towards PL Subramanian sir for coordinate very nicely in the, all over the webinar and taking efforts to organize all the technical part of this event. I especially thanks to Vaibhav Sabnis to taking extra effort for organizing this event and all the management during the organization. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I also express my thanks towards Miss Shreya Sabnis. She is also part of this organization, and I also express thanks all the staff members of Government Degree College Ichapuram and all the participants who join us by Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom app, and they show their cooperation during the session. Thank you, thank you very much for your cooperation. Last but not least, I request all the participants to stand for a few seconds in respect of nation for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे
जन
मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. Welcome to panel.
Anusha, are you there?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir, I'm there.
Yeah, Meenakshi madam, she is Patnaik sir's daughter who was disconnected, and
Okay.
even though it is against the protocol, but it is our duty to give her opportunity to speak something. She will definitely propose out of thanks.
Well, of
Anusha,
course.
please.
Very,
Good
very
morning, ma'am.
welcome, Anusha. Yes,
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry for the interruption.
no worries.
You are
Hello.
audible. You are audible. Please start.
Yes, sir. First of all, I would like to thank all the resource persons, organizers, and participants for giving me chance to be part of this national webinar. I feel proud to express my gratitude to Professor Dr. Meenakshi Paul Madam for accepting our invitation and spending her valuable time in giving good and useful lecture on soft skills. And also Dr. Vaibhav sir for his lecture on leadership qualities. On behalf of our Government Degree College, Ichapuram, I would like to thank Vaibhav sir and Meenakshi ma'am who have blessed us with their presence. Similarly, we also extend our special thanks to Pullela Subramanyam sir for extending technical support. And Dr. Praveen Mahale sir, the organizing secretary of the program, SRB Chakravarti sir, and Professor Anita Sharma ma'am, and Shreya Sabnis for extending their support for success of the program. Thank you, Vaibhav sir. Because of your support, we have conducted this webinar and made it grand success. And also Meenakshi ma'am and other event managers and all the participants, thank you so much.
Thank you, dear participants. We repeat, you will get the feedback links on your email. Please keep patience for just 2 days. In 2 days only, you'll get the link and you'll get the certificate. I hope you are satisfied with the knowledge. The certificate is immaterial. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Thank
And
you.
see you soon.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Yes.
Stay happy. Please take care, all of you, all the participants, honorable madam. Please take care amidst this corona. Let's overcome this challenge, this problem.
Together. Yes. Thank you,
together.
everybody. Thank you, participants, everybody. Have a lovely day and stay safe. Thank you. So I'm
Thank you,
going
and
to say
Thank you so much,
goodbye.
ma'am.
Yeah, thank you and see you soon. I'm ending the meeting. We'll let you know about new events, upcoming events definitely, and we'll come together again for such events. Thank you. See you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vaibhav
Goodbye.
sir. Thank you, Vaibhav sir, for a good lecture. The meeting is the webinar is now going to end. Thank you, Meenakshi madam, for extending your support in conducting the webinar. Thank you, Subbu sir, for extending your cooperation and technical support. Thank you, Praveen Mahale sir, for organizing the team. And I request all the participants that the certificates will be issued within 1 or 2 days. Today, we have to give 2000 certificates to the participants, and tomorrow onwards, the remaining certificates will be issued. Kindly cooperate with us. Thank you. The meeting is ended.